Welcome to Self-Care from the Inside Out for Moms. I'm your host, Carrie McFarland, a certified life coach and founder of Moms Love Coaching. I help moms put themselves first to stop burnout. If you're a mom who is exhausted from carrying the load of getting it all done, then you are officially invited to join the conversation every week. It's the perfect time to take a break, grab your coffee, and focus on the most important person in your life, you. Welcome everybody to Self-Care for Moms, for stressed out, overwhelmed, and burned out moms to improve their life and mental health, reclaim their time, and just feel better overall. How is everybody today? I hope everybody had a good week. I am solo today. There's no Angie. Angie is on an island today. An island somewhere in Connecticut and having a wonderful time. I'm getting beautiful pictures of sunsets and sunrises. So I'm happy that she's having fun. And she'll be back next week with all of us. So this weekend, I'll back up. So this week I traveled for work. So I was gone for 3 days. And then the fourth day was kind of a recovery day coming back. So I was back on Friday. So I traveled Tuesday through Wednesday and Tuesday through Thursday and came back on Friday. And it was a beautiful day on Friday. The weather was wonderful. And so I was able to sit outside and do my work, which I absolutely love. That is one of my favorite parts from working from home, is that I can use my outside office, that I like to call it. So that was great. And then yesterday I spent a lot of time outside again. We went to lunch. Me and my husband and my daughter, we went to lunch, and then we went to Lowe's. I know that's super exciting. We went to Lowe's and got a propane tank. I know, hold on to your seats. We got a propane tank, but the reason I'm excited about it is because it is for the fire pit that I have. And I have it right in front of the swing that I love to sit in and just relax at. And so now I'll have my fire pit there, and the weather is getting cooler at night and it's not so buggy. And so I will be able to sit out there at night, either by myself or with somebody else, and just enjoy the fire and not have to worry about stoking the fire or making sure the wood is dry and all that stuff. Now, I will say that I do like a regular fire with real wood. I like the sound of it. I like the smell of it. The downside of it is that if the wood's not dry, it gets really smoky. You have to constantly stoke it. And so it's sort of a trade-off. So the gas fire pit that we have is a lot easier. We just turn it on and it just stays lit. You don't have that campfire smell that I kind of miss, but it's a good trade-off because I can just go out there whenever I want and turn it on and just enjoy it, and then turn it off, and then not have to worry about it being, the hot coals and throwing dirt on it and making sure the sparks aren't gonna, light the tree on fire and things like that. So I'm excited about my fire pit. I'm excited that I'm going to get to use it this year. I didn't get to use it last year. I don't even know why. There was just lots of things going on. The weather wasn't cooperating. And then this year, when I went to use it for the first time, I realized we were out of propane. So I haven't had a chance to use it yet. So fall is coming and I will be able to use it. So I'm very happy about it. Today. I want to talk to you guys about getting out of a rut, which is very easy for moms to do, to get into a rut, simply because the schedule is always so tight that you don't really feel like you have room to add anything. And it's just easier to continue with the schedule that you have. It works, everybody knows it. You don't want to rock the boat. And so you end up just doing the same thing over and over and over and over again every day, and not really adding anything in for yourself. And so I want to read the definition of what a rut is, what I looked up on the Googles. So it says a rut is a state of stagnation or routine where progress feels stalled. I think that's pretty accurate. When you feel like you're in a rut, you just feel like everything's the same and nothing is going to change. The everyday routine just kind of takes over. You go on autopilot and it just becomes a habit. I mean, basically, that's what a rut is. It's just a habit. And a habit is just something that you do over and over and over again, and it just becomes the way that you do something. And so once something is a habit, it really takes a lot to shift that or change that or even eliminate that. And so I'm not talking about eliminating your routine. I'm just talking about adding something in for yourself that kind of breaks up that routine, which is a lot of times easier said than done. Your brain really likes routine and habit because it's efficient and is easy. So not only is once a habit is formed, it's easy to keep doing it without thinking about it. It's also very easy to convince yourself that you shouldn't change anything. So, in terms of getting out of a rut, you convince yourself that, well, now's not the time to add something. It's too busy right now. My kids are too little. Too much is going on at work. I have too much happening with the family. And so all these obstacles in your mind come up about why you shouldn't change the routine. And that's normal because like I said, your brain likes efficiency, and changing anything up is hard, and you need to be intentional about it, which means that you're thinking about it, which means that takes energy away from your brain, and your brain doesn't like that. And so it's very natural to think about something, oh, I want to do that, and then immediately convince yourself that you shouldn't do it. Of course, there are other things that get in the way, like lack of support or even logistics, that make it difficult for you to add anything in. So, for example, kids' bedtimes or kids' nap times or drop off and pick up or just your job. I mean, that's going to take up a lot of your time. And so there are real things that do get in the way, but it's not impossible to change or add something that will kind of break up that routine and get you out of that rut and help you feel happier and more fulfilled. So, some of the things that I hear moms saying about being in a rut is just that I'm just going through the motions every day. It's the same routine and it's draining. I'm overwhelmed with the endless to do list, and no matter how much I get done, there's always more. I'm stuck in a cycle of waking up, taking care of the kids, going to work, picking up the kids, then going to bed. There's just no time for myself or anything that I enjoy. And again, those things are real. But what I want you to start thinking about is the little things that you can do to start just shifting it just a little bit. And that's going to look different for everybody. But there are things that you can probably do right now that will just shift it a little bit. And I'm not saying that that would allow you to add in a hobby or going to the gym every day or going out with friends once a week. I'm not saying that it would magically make you be able to do those things, but it would be the first step into thinking differently about your situation so you can start to see where the possibilities might be. So, for example, I'm stuck in this cycle of waking up and taking care of the kids and then going to bed, and there's no time for myself or anything I enjoy. Where are the pockets of time in the day that you can use to start just thinking about the things that you might want to do or add into your routine? They might be really small, but it's the first step in starting that process of just loosening thought process just a little bit so you can think about what you can add in. I'm not talking about big changes or lots of money for babysitters or nannies or anything like that. I am talking about small micro steps that you can take to start the journey on changing your situation enough so you can fit in the things that you would want to do for yourself. It's not going to happen overnight, and it's not a magic fix, but the first step is you allowing yourself to realize that it's even a possibility. Because if you don't think it's a possibility, then it's never going to happen. So you need to think that it could happen. That's the first step. It could happen. The second step is, what would I do to make that happen? And just start thinking about all the different things that you could do. I'm going to back up a little bit too. Once you can kind of shift that thinking from there's no time for myself and I can't enjoy anything to what can I do to make time for myself so I can enjoy something that's just for me. Once you're able to do that, I want you to start thinking about what it is that you might want to do. What is it that would give you joy? What do you think about that gives you that little brief spark of, oh, that sounds interesting, or oh, I think I might want to try that. It might be more than one thing, and that's fine. I want you to think about all the things that give you that little spark. We all have them. And then usually what happens is we immediately dismiss it because, oh, well, I can't do that. And I don't have time. I don't have the money. My kids are too little. All that stuff starts to come up. And so we dismiss it. But there are those things that we think about that gives us that little spark of, oh, that sounds fun, or that sounds interesting, or I used to do that when I was younger, but I haven't done that in a really long time. Those are the things that I want you to start thinking about. Start there. Start with those things. Just brainstorm anything that fits into that idea that you have, because maybe you can't do exactly the thing that you used to do when you were younger, or maybe the thing that gives you that spark of, ooh, maybe I could do that. Maybe now is not the time that you could do that exact thing, but what are the things that kind of fit into that category? Maybe the thing that you think of is something that you can do, but if it's not, what are all the things that fit into that category? Write them down. Start there. So the next thing is, I want you to write down the first 3 steps you need to take to move towards that goal. Just the first 3 steps to move towards it, not to achieve the whole thing, not to add it into your routine yet, but what are the first 3 steps that you would need to take just to start the process? Write those down and really think about what those are, because it might involve things that you're thinking are too simple and that those things don't matter, but those are the things that matter. So what are those first 3 steps? It could be something. So if you wanted to start walking in the morning, one of the first steps could be just getting up a half an hour earlier, or bringing your kids with you. And so making sure that all the things that you do in the morning are taken care of the night before, so you can all go on a walk. Or maybe walking in the morning isn't available, and so you have to fit it in the evening. But just think about all the different steps that you would need to take, or not all the different steps, the 3 first steps that you would need to take in order to start working towards that goal. And then the next thing I want you to do is practice prioritizing yourself. Because one of the reasons that we get into a rut and we don't put other things on our schedule, it's not just because our life is so busy with work and kids and families and all the other things. Part of the reason is we're not used to prioritizing ourselves because we put everything else first. And so in order to make this new habit stick, in order to add this in and have it be lasting and consistent, you need to start practicing prioritizing yourself. Schedule something on your calendar, even if it has nothing to do with this goal, just something that's just for you. It can be really small. It could be a 10-minute thing. It could be a 30-minute thing. It doesn't matter. Start with that and practice not missing that thing. Make it super easy. This is not supposed to be challenging. This is supposed to be habit forming. And the best way to start a habit and have it stick is to make it super easy for yourself in the beginning, so you do it consistently over and over and over again. If you complicate it and make it too hard, you're not going to do it. You're going to give up. You're going to think it's too difficult, and you're just going to abandon it. So that's what we don't want. Practicing prioritizing yourself means that you show up for the thing that you said you were going to do consistently over and over and over and over and over again. And in order to do that, it needs to be simple. So pick something that's very simple, even if it's saying nice things to yourself in the mirror or having your cup of coffee first thing in the morning before everybody gets up. Something that's very, very simple that you can do. Once you get good at that, then I want you to start thinking about what you can do, what you can schedule, what you can be consistent with that will get you towards the goal that you want to do. It might involve asking for support. It might involve shifting schedules around. It might be a little more involved and complicated than your first attempt at prioritizing yourself. That's okay because now you've had some practice at it. So you can up level and make it a little more involved. Not too much because again, you don't want it to get too overwhelming because then you will just abandon it. The trick is to make every step as easy as possible so you can show up for it every time and be consistent and build that habit. The next thing to do is start. So, whatever you identified as those first 3 steps, now that you have practice prioritizing yourself, now that you have asked for support, now that you have found solutions to some of the obstacles that may be in your way or may have been in your way, now you start. You start with the first of that first 3 steps. Start with that, whatever that is. Just start it. Get good at it, get consistent with it, and move to the next step. We're building a habit, so you don't want to jump too far ahead. It's simple, it's methodical, it could be even boring. The steps that you need to take in order to build in that new habit or that new activity that you want to add into your routine, the steps to get there might be boring. The actual thing that you want to do doesn't have to be boring, but the steps that you need to take to get there might be boring. So that's okay. It's kind of like brushing your teeth. You just do it every day. You don't think about it. It's not super exciting, but you like the result. And that's what we're thinking about. So just to recap for all of you, a rut is a state of stagnation or routine where progress feels stalled. And so that looks like having the same routine every day, feeling drained over that same routine every day, having that lack of energy, feeling stuck, all of those things. That's what it feels like to be in a rut. Now, if you want to get out of that rut, you want to identify what you want to do. You want to brainstorm anything that fits into that idea. You want to write down those first 3 steps that you need to take to move forward and practice prioritizing yourself by scheduling something very simple on your calendar that you can do every day until you get used to showing up for that consistently. You want to possibly ask for support, and you definitely want to find solutions to the obstacles that you know are going to come up. And then you start. You start with that first step that you already identified, and you just go. So that is what I have for everybody this week. This was a short one, and I hope you all have a wonderful week, and I will see you next time. Bye. Thank you so much for listening today. If you enjoyed this episode, it would mean the world to us if you like, subscribe, and share. And don't forget to leave us a 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify. This makes it easier for everyone to find us and helps us spread our message about self-care from the inside out. Have a wonderful week, and remember, making yourself the priority is the highest form of self-care.